Alright guys, no fancy music, no fancy intro, no none of that stuff, although none of that stuff's really that fancy anyway. But unfortunately things weren't working the first time around. I'm not sure what was going on. I restarted the internet, restarted my phone. I'll bring Mike in, and as everybody starts filtering back in, we will get things up and running. I appreciate everyone for all of the space in between there. I really appreciate you all for tuning back in as you're going to, and hopefully this thing works out the way it's supposed to this time. I have no idea what was going on, so I'll get a hold of him, get things rolling again, and as you guys tune back in, thank you very much. All right. Okay.
All right, we're back.
We are back, and in fact, for whatever reason, now my stuff's working on my end, like for my speakers, and my mic, I think, is working too. I don't know if you noticed an audio difference.
Yeah, it sounds pretty crisp. I mean, it was weird. The audio was good before too. It was weird. It was working, and then it just like kind of stopped.
Yeah, I don't know. So I had my wife vacate all of the internet activity. I reset my internet. I put my computer on airplane mode. I reset my phone. I did all the stuff. So hopefully we are good. Mike Lohmann is who's going to be on again. Thanks, Ben. You like to get in there, and Ben, you're gonna totally dig some of the questions that are coming up here in a little bit. I know you are. So, but anyway, let me get this fired back up and get this thing rolling again. We were just talking about some stories with some cars and some trucks and all that good stuff. And so, since we were breaking out all over the place, Mike, if you don't mind, would you grab maybe one more and give like a solid story so that they can put it all together, kind of, and we'll go from there?
Sure. All right. So this is one of my other favorites, and there's a little bit of a story behind this truck. This is obviously an original Blackfoot, and I started with a Blackfoot, so it just kind of goes to show how things come full circle. But this particular truck was on eBay. It didn't look exactly like this, but I was watching it, and I was going into the city to meet up with my brothers and my cousins for like a Christmas dinner type deal, and I was running late for the train. The auction was ending, the train was going to be leaving, and like I literally had to run for the train. And I get on the train, and I knew like I gotta check the Blackfoot, and the auction ended. And I'm like, no, and it didn't sell. So I hit the guy up right away, and I'm like, look, I'm looking for like a perfect example of something to build off of. I had to start with the Blackfoot, explain the whole story to him. He's like, yeah, I don't want to sell it. So I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. You know what I mean? I'm like, what? So I'm like, look, dude, I'll give you what the auction was, plus like I'll throw another 50 on. He's like, nah. So I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So now, I guess like a month or two goes by, and I'm talking to my buddy Dan Wyatt, and he's like, dude, you should have gotten that Blackfoot. And I'm like, I know. He's like, why don't you just email the guy again? So I email the guy, and I'm like, dude, I'm still thinking about this Blackfoot. I gotta have this thing. Like, it's a good base. And he wrote back, and he was like, well, all right, but I'm putting it on eBay. And I'm like, dude, like, you're gonna get killed with fees. He's like, yeah, well, I want to make sure it's legitimate. I'm like, all right, dude, just put it on eBay and let me know before someone else. My luck, someone will have to buy it now before I can. So I ended up with the truck, and it didn't look exactly like this, but it had a really clean body, and I had a CCP chassis, and it just kind of reminded me of my childhood. And then I just kind of went nuts with it, and this is where people are really going to think I'm a psycho, but it's got Technocraft wheels on it. There's probably a good portion of people watches that have no idea, but Technocraft probably made the baddest ass RC wheels ever. I paid $1,200 for these wheels. I had to have them. They're super duper rare, and then the truck just has tons of other rare parts. It's got a APM custom bedliner topper, APM roll bar. This fire extinguisher right here causes a lot of hatred. That's a whole nother story. But it's got the Max Trax pulling hitch, and this just kind of like this relives my childhood. Like, this was stuff that I would see in RC car action. So even got the bug shield with the old RC car action sticker on there. And, growing up reading Reader's Rides, this was stuff that I was like drooling on, but at, 10 years old, I couldn't afford it to build it myself. So now I'm kind of going back and it's 10 times more expensive, but I have it. It's the baddest ass Blackfoot, or one of the baddest ass Blackfoots that I know. My buddy Dan probably has the other one that's 10 times nicer than this one, but it's around the same basis. But yeah. So crazy person. The most expensive Blackfoot ever right here.
Yeah, seriously, man. $1,200 wheels? Like, what?
Yeah. That happened.
All right. So I'm going to go off of the $1,200 wheel statement here and ad lib again. And I have to ask, if you had to ballpark it, what would your figure be for, like, how much is your whole collection worth? We said, like, what, 115? Like,
yeah. It's tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, easily. Because this isn't like just this truck alone. You figure this Blackfoot alone, like I paid crazy money just to get this Tamiya chrome chassis that came with when they re-released the Brat. They did like a chrome edition, and it was such a nicer chrome than the old CCP stuff. Like just that chassis alone cost me like $150 for a Blackfoot chassis. But so like just this truck alone, this is like a $2,000 truck. It's a Blackfoot. You know what I mean? And then like I have an original Scour Road XJ that was, at the time that was a $2,000 truck, and that's going back to probably 06, 07. They were handmade, limited number. Like I had one, Jason or Augusta had one that now Ryan Big Baller owns. I think Ryan has like freaking 4 of them. That guy's. You want to talk? You think I'm crazy? You haven't seen nothing. You've seen Ryan's collection. Ryan's got some stuff.
So, then I need to see his. So I haven't, because no, it's awesome, man, and it's totally a different world from me. I think I have like 6, 7, maybe 8 now, and I'm like, man, I have too many. I can't do everything with them. Like I'm like it's a whole different world. So did we freeze again?
It's glitching a little bit.
We might come back. We got a bunch of likes and hearts, and that sometimes will pause us up.
All right, we'll let it chill for a second.
Right? Holy smokes. All right, guys, we love all the love, but I think it's pausing us and freezing us up. If you could give us a second to talk, we'd be really good. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Ultimate Scale Truck Expo. You just went to the Ultimate Scale Truck Expo. You had you took some trucks down there. Can you tell us a little bit about that event? Was this your first time going? Have you gone? Did you go?
No, this was my second time. Last year was the first year of it.
Yeah.
And what happened was and I know we're gonna get to this part of the interview, so I don't want to blow it for everyone because I think it's gonna be entertaining. But shortly after a scale rule debacle, we'll call it, Rob reached out to me and was like, "I'm putting on this event, and it is going to be for dollhouse trucks." And I'm like, okay, I'm there. When is it? So I talked to Rob about it on the phone. He was like, you got to come down. It's going to be this, blah, blah. So I went down there last year. I hadn't been to an event in years, but some changes in life happened, and I was like, I'm going. Like, I got to get back into seeing everyone and doing things. And I went down there, and it was awesome. The trails were awesome. I was amongst people who like put the scale stuff first over performance, and just the event as a whole, like the atmosphere was great. There was no drama of like, he's running a cheater chassis, or he's it was just a great event. And I knew right away, I was like, I would be at this event every year because it's like my circle of like people, you know what I mean? Like GCN guys are there, Chris and Dana, and I love hanging out with those guys. and BSing with them. You know, Dana and I, like, we're kind of on the same page. We love the scale stuff, but we're also like, Dana's got a couple years on me age-wise, but he's an old school like toy truck guy. So like he appreciates like the Blackfoots and the buggies and the sand scorchers and stuff. So I'll get together and I just like kind of shoot the shit with him about that stuff. And but yeah, that event was awesome last year, and then this year it was 100 times even better. I mean, it doubled in size. The courses were even more awesome, and you know, it was just, this is great. I mean, honestly, if you like realistic trucks and you just want to show up and toy truck it with your buddies and not care, like, you know, about touching the truck because you don't want it to roll over, like Rob makes a big announcement, like, don't let your truck, like your truck that you've spent, you know, hours upon hours, roll down a cliff. Like, no one's going to penalize you if you're touching the truck. Like, just don't let it blow to pieces. You know what I mean? Like, so like, if you're a guy that has like the homemade, handmade, scratch built bodies, like, that's the place for you, because no one's gonna be like, oh, this guy's touching his truck again. Like, oh, this guy hit a marker. No, it's just, you get together, you run trails, you BS with your buddies. It's just a great. I love that event. It's awesome. That and my first Axial Fest. I'm going back to that again this year, and those are my two must do events right now. So
awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the truck you took down to the Ultimate Scale Truck Expo, and you won an award for your engine bay, and it was, I mean, the detail in there is intense, and I know you're doing like a mix of 3D printed and custom built stuff and so on and so forth. And in doing that, where are you coming up with all of the ideas for like the parts, the pieces, the details? Like, how are you sourcing all of that, or the stuff that's not out there? Like, how are you like, oh, I can use this to make this?
Well, I've been doing, you know, scale trucks since it was really big. So I have a little bit of experience in that, I guess you could say, but I take a lot of my inspiration from full size stuff. So when RC4 Drive came out with the 4-door truck, I was really stoked because I have a body that Rich did for me. That's a 4-door that it's still in primer. I never got a chance to build it. But when RC4 Drive came out with a kit with my limited time, it was so much easier just to have something I knew was all going to work together. And I kind of, after being at the last UST, I won best detail with my my Blue Lux up there. I don't know if everyone could see that, but my fenderless Toyota, that's pretty well known. And the level of the trucks that were down there was, I was surprised I won anything. Like, I was stoked to have made it to the semifinals, and then when the truck won best detail, I was like super humbled because I built that truck like 10 years ago. So I knew I had to step up my game for this year if I wanted to have a chance. And it was, the trucks that were down there this year were awesome. People put in a lot of time, a lot of effort. There were some really great scale trucks. And, you know, I mean, you see Dana's 4-door that he did. I personally think it's a lot nicer than mine. I mean, his is gorgeous, but when I put this together, you know, I knew I wanted to do an opening hood. That wasn't something I had done before.
Yeah.
And I just kind of took it to the next level, and I did like the under hood bracing. And for me, it's easy because I can kind of cheat and walk outside and look at my, you know, my full size 83. But I had to do everything in reverse because it's right hand drive. So I had to shift the firewall. I found one on eBay, like a legit 82, 83 right-hand drive. It was for sale in Oregon, so I stole all those pictures off eBay. And then, you know, it's got the GCM, the 3D printed motor, and then I just, pretty much everything else, I scratch built out of styrene. I've always been known for, like, whittling really weird detailed parts. So the clutch master and, like, the master cylinder are exact replicas of what's in my full-size truck. Like, everything. I even got the little brake harness sensor hanging out like of the top of the master, because my truck, I got the V6 master in it. It's like common, you know, Toyota upgrade in the full size world. So I mimicked that for this truck.
Right.
So when people saw this, and I had the hood open down UST, and like the snorkel is actually even plumbed. And I used Bruiser shock boots to do that, to replicate that. You know, there's some scratch build stuff, but a lot of the stuff on the truck is stuff that's readily available. And I think that was kind of what I was trying to show, that like you don't have to be an amazing fabricator. Like you don't have to be the world's best styrene guy or the world's best chassis brazier or whatever. Like from where I started to where we are now, it's grown in such leaps and bounds. You could put together such an awesome truck with what you have available. It's just a matter of placing the parts in the right way. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I was trying to go for with this truck, and it won best engine bay, and then I won best detail for the second year in a row. So I was super pumped about that. That was very humbling, especially with the level of trucks that were down there this past year. I honestly, I don't know what I'm gonna do for next year, because if it steps up again, it's gonna be hard to compete. So.
Right. No, it's intense, and I think I'm with you. In the last couple of years, man, things have just exploded. There's so many options out there. It's amazing. So,
Yep.
My next question for you is, what advice do you give to, like, so maybe someone catches this on the off chance that we're talking, and it's not like a lot of these people I see tune in all the time who haven't watched all these videos or something, but people who are like, I really want to build a really cool truck, like one of those ones in the case behind you. What advice do you give them to start with? Like, where should they go? Like, what do you say?
I mean, first I always like to try to do some sort of theme with my stuff. I mean, you don't have to, but like when I did the 4-door truck, I did it as like a New York State DEC, like Forest Ranger Patrol truck. I just thought that was something cool. It helps it stand out. So if you're looking to, nowadays, the Toyota Hilux buy, because of how it came back out, is dime a dozen. Going back to when Dean and I were doing these things, a cab was $120. Guys weren't building Toyotas, going back 10 plus years ago. They were too expensive. But now, luckily, everything's readily available. So, I mean, really, I would just do your research. I'd find something that you want to, like, mimic. And you'd be surprised. A lot of the full-size guys, they're great. Like, you can hit people up. I found a guy that has the Camaro just like that. And it's a grudge car. And I was like, dude, that thing's awesome. I have the 10 scale version. Like, I want to try to, like, finish it up like yours. Like, can you send me some pictures? And I'm like, you don't have to send me any engine pictures, but, like, just maybe some, like, chassis stuff and, like, interior photos. Like, I just want to mimic it. And he was like, yeah, I can do that, So, just ask, find a truck and, something that you like, whether it's Instagram, and see if you can track down the guy and send him a message and be like, hey, I'm looking to do this. And then just get pictures. I mean, eBay is a great source for finding stuff. Bring a trailer. I really do like Instagram, because you could, you search the hashtag for like Hilux, and you're going to get tons of really cool trucks. So,
No, that's awesome advice. And so one of the things that you said that I really like is reach out. And so one of the things that most people probably don't know about the Tri-Van is that there are 0 pictures of the interior of that truck on the internet. It doesn't exist. If you find one, send it to me, because I've never seen one.
Yeah.
Except I did reach out to a guy, and I sent him an email, and it was on this random thread that he had posted somewhere from like 7 years ago. And I sent him the message, and he responded like within 24 hours. He's like, yeah, I still have my stuff. Like, I'd love to go out and snap some pictures for you. And he like went out and took pictures of stuff, and it was great. He's like, come on down, take pictures yourself. He was like 7 hours away, but I thought that was a little far to drive to take pictures.
Yeah, that's how I did my Chino clone build. I did that. I was having trouble finding interior pictures of Hiluxes back then. And I just remember, like, I hit up, Chino 63 Dean. I was like, which, now I own the truck, but at the time I was like, damn, I'm trying to build this. Like, can you send me pictures of the door panel? And he was like, yeah, sure. He went outside, took pictures for me. And, that's what was great about, like, RCC. Like, there was such a great core group of guys, and you could ask us, like, yeah, you know what, we busted people's chops and stuff on there, but it was all in good fun. But that site, as far as knowledge-wise, I mean, like, in its prime, like, that's where, like, the best of the best builds are coming from, you know what I mean? Like, there was just a lot of talent in there, and a lot of guys that did the full-size stuff and did the, then, dabbled into the smaller scale. So it was good, But yeah, definitely reach out, ask people. People like to talk about this stuff, So.
Yeah, I agree. We're all a little bit of show-offs. We all want to talk about our stuff and be like, hey, look at what I did. It's really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what is one thing that when you do a scale build, what is one thing that you can never leave off of it?
I'm going to have to say probably an interior. I've always been kind of known for my interiors, like, years ago when I first did the light up gauges, that was like, ooh, now obviously, like, a lot of, like, good scale builders do that. But All of my like real builds I always have some sort of interior. At the very least like a dash, a really detailed dash, really done like accurate door panels and stuff. Just so that when you look inside there, it just I don't know, it helps keep it accurate looking. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like a ghost truck.
Yeah.
So definitely, I would say interior. Yep.
All right. That I think is my answer. And I've never had anybody answer with like the whole interior. Everybody's always like, I have to have this one thing. And my answer is always like, I have to have an interior. Like it's got to be there. So,
yeah. Yep.
So anyway, so here comes my favorite question on the whole list because it's where we get to talk about this little thing that happened like 2 years ago. And so 2 years ago, apparently Mike has a really big problem with the absence of color. And so we got into, and the reason I want to bring it up is this. So we got into like this internet back and forth, and what happened was, and I see it happen all the time on the internet, and that's why I want to talk about it in all reality. Like what happened was I had my opinion, Mike had his opinion. We went back and forth a whole bunch of times. Rules got created, like, and it was all over some clear wheels. And we talked about it the other night and like laughed like crazy when we were doing our test because it just when it boils down to it, like neither one of us was wrong. Like I could build whatever I wanted to. You wanted it to be really scale. Like I get it. So no, I think it was interesting. So, but your perspective was cool because for me, I was like, hey, let's build clear wheels and like whatever. And you're like, hey man, don't like it doesn't look like all the other ones. Like that's not scale.
Yeah, it was funny because I went back today and because I was thinking about the whole clear wheels thing, and I didn't even realize it, but I actually had a conversation with Lee Hicks, and I know you just had him on the show. Yeah. And I know he's like a pretty hardcore comp guy, but I had put out there, like I challenged the community to show me like a actual real crawler that had clear wheels. Because of course, like when we were having our back and forth debate thing, guys were posting like Buick Regals on like 30-inch donk wheels. And I'm like, I wheel real trucks several times a year. I've never been to Roush Creek or any other parks on the East Coast and shown up and seen a Buick Regal on clear wheels going down the trail. Like, so no, that does not count. And but Lee Hicks actually found, I don't know where he found it from, but he found this Volkswagen prototype thing from like 1963, and it was an off-road vehicle because it was going down like a dirt road with like a cloud behind it, like the drawing, and it was shaped like a bathtub. So when he sent it to me, I was like, all right, yeah, you got me on that one. But I was like, if I start showing up to comps and there's bathtubs on wheels, I'm gonna be pissed. Especially if they have clear wheels.
Yeah, man. So no, long story short, what ended up coming around full circle was I looked around and I was like, I told you the other day, like I watched an Axial Fest video and I was looking at all the trucks. Like I looked at every single truck in the video and I went, man, like that pink truck with no bumpers and clear wheels is a little far outside of the reality of what goes on. And then I built a 3-wheel truck and like one with unicorns on the hood, and I just went. But anyway, I just like to push lines and be different. That's all.
Yep. And you know what? We're in a hobby where that stuff's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about the other night, like for me, because I've been in the scale side for so long, like I was telling you, like when there was rule things, like before there was even like a Sorka, like when it was just earlier on for like MSD scale nationals and other various scale things, like when they were trying to come up with rules and they would like put something absurd in there, like I said, my PM box would literally explode. Like, all the OG guys were saying, you better get in there, like these guys are doing that, like, and I would read some stuff and I'm like, how, like what, you're banging a bob bed? Like I go to Roush all the time, there's trucks that the guy drove it 45 minutes there, it's got 6 inches bobbed out of the bed. Like that's not scale. Like what do you so I think for me, like, and what it is too is like I just with certain things, and like I finally, the last straw was really for me with Sorka, and nothing against those guys, like they've improved in leaps and bounds, but was when the Marlin truck came out and they banned that truck from class 1, and I was like, you guys are killing me. Literally killing me. And I made a big stink about it, and I got into it with some guy, and he's calling me a snowflake, and I'm like, dude, like, you're behind a keyboard. Like, I've dealt with guys that have killed people, like, that would wring my neck in the jail, and like, you're typing, oh, you're a snowflake. You know, just because the truck's not Bob bed, like, you're crying about it. And I'm like, no, like, you're banging a truck that's gonna be, you know, it's gonna get more people in the hobby, and you're banging it because like this much is trimmed off the back of the truck. Like, that's what the real truck has. So like, it's I don't want to hurt the hobby, and I don't want to see people be like, you know, building the Me Too things either. But you got to have the balance. But that's, you're always gonna have people that are gonna push the envelope, and that's the way it rolls.
Yeah, man. I
take them back in.
Like,
you know?
the back and forth was good for me, because I was, at that point in time, I was really pushing things, and I was doing it on purpose, and I was doing it to be different and stand out, and I realized that I didn't have to go that direction, and I don't know. I don't know that I was like out trying to hurt anybody or anything, but I also don't know that I was like, that I definitely had, I don't know, but just being creative.
You know what? You wanted to, you had an opinion, you know, and you wanted to stick to your guns, and that was me too. And like I said, it wasn't ever even about like, you know, I wasn't trying to like, oh, people are like, oh, you're putting down his creativity. He made those wheels himself. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm glad he made those wheels himself. Like, I don't have the skills. Like, I don't have a lathe to make a wheel, or, you know, to make my own beadlocks, but paint them black.
I just drill press them, man.
Time,
there's
you know what I mean?
a whole thread on RCC that'll teach you how to do it. What was it? Like the Mr. Vertical Smile thread, whatever. That guy made a whole bunch of wheels. And I just did that. So go find that if you want clear wheels, guys. Make them yourselves. Mike will love you for it. Anyway, do you operate on a budget?
My blood pressure through the roof here.
Do you operate on a budget for your whole RC collection? Like, do you choose like how much you're gonna spend, or you kind of just go like all in?
I have a budget. I mean, I've got bills just like everyone else does, a mortgage and all that stuff. Despite that, you know, there's people out there like, oh, his mommy, daddy probably bought him all those. That no, that's not true. But I will say this: the community, and this gets back to why, like, when you asked me before, you know, what I like best about it. I've had a lot of help over the years, though. You know, when I buy, you know, I have a lot of high dollar, you know, 4-digit price tag trucks, and I mean, most people don't have like 4 digits to throw down on a truck, you know, like here and there, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So a lot of guys over the years have done payment plans for me, where I'm like, hey, I want that. I don't have, you know, $1,200, $1,400 right now, but you know, I'll give you like 500 now, and then I'll give you like 200 every 2 weeks until it's paid off, if you're cool with that. And I mean, I've done that on countless builds. I did that on the pig from Rich. I've done that with guys like even like overseas, like Azonic, when I bought his Evo JK. I've done it with Sean Sally when I bought his Cherokee Chief. I've done it with a lot of guys. So I've been fortunate where, you know, I don't think I have the name that I once had, like back in the RCC days. But I've had a pretty good relationship with a lot of people. And I think it's starting to come back a little bit as I build upon the Mike's RC world. Yeah. Where people are like, hey, you know what? That guy's going to take care of the truck. He's going to appreciate it. And you know what? Like, yeah, I might be able to sell it, you know, next week for the money right now. But you know what? I want to see you go to him. I know he's going to take care of it. It's not going to get destroyed. It'll live on. And guys have been, you know, they've been cool with me for doing that. So I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Because I didn't, you know, it wouldn't be this if it wasn't for things like that. I would have probably half the amount of trucks I have. Right. So.
Awesome. So I'm going to pose a question to the people out there as well. Do you operate on a budget, or like when you do a build, when you build a truck, is it like this truck gets the amount of money that it needs, end of story? So my next question is to you, and so I want to preface it a little bit with the fact that you were on RCC, and we've talked about it a lot in a lot of my other videos, a lot of my other discussions, because a lot of the people that I've talked to have come from that time frame, a lot of the ones who have a bigger following. And so,
Yeah.
in talking about it, RC Crawler is RCC, and it's just a huge wealth of knowledge, man. If you can go on there and start doing some searching, like I said, like I built clear wheels off there. People forgot that that existed, and I built it, and like, and it was like brand new again. And I didn't do anything fancy. That wasn't my like brainchild of an idea. It was around.
Yeah.
But anyway, my next question is, do you prefer the forums or do you prefer Facebook, and why would you choose one of those things? Not even necessarily Facebook, but social media.
So it kind of sucks nowadays. Facebook is kind of beat up a lot of the forums, and it's because it's the instant gratification of like be able to just click and you have a picture uploaded. Yeah. But in the grand scheme of things, if you're an old school guy like me, where like you like to do the build threads and educate people how to do this, you can't do that on Facebook. You post it on Facebook, it not even 2 hours from that, it's gone, like it's buried. There's no timeline for anything. So, I mean, it is a necessary evil. I'm not going to say I don't use Facebook. I mean, I definitely do. The forums, it was tough. Photo Bucket ruined it a lot, and that was across the board. That was even like for the full size scale stuff. So that they screwed everyone with that whole having to pay $500 a year for that. Like they jerked everyone with that big time. But I would much rather prefer the forums. I mean, I think I'm where I am because of the forums. You know what I mean? Because of the support that I had, and running RC Crawler, like being a moderator on there, and making all those friends that I did, and I try to post on there, but it's frustrating because, I'll take the time to do a build thread, and it's like I get like a like and nothing, and I'm like, I spent an hour writing this post out, and I didn't get anything back. Whereas, sometimes you go on Facebook and you might engage people, and you're getting some comments, and like that's the whole point. Like you can't have a forum without engagement, without people posting and everything, and so it's tough. Like I mean, I would love to go back. If we could just shift back time to Facebook not having the pages and stuff and the forums being there. I mean, I think RCC would still be killing the game. I mean, Scale Builders Guild, I mean, I love those forums. I'm active on both forums. I mean, I have 8,000 something posts on, RC Crawler. That's like my home away from home. I met, like I said, a lot of my friendships and relationships with guys. And the trucks in the collection, like it's all because of that form or SPG or Scale 4x4 RC, and even where like I started, like from way back in the day before there was an RC Crawler, like back in RCMT on the Easy Board days, and RC Jim's Place. Like guys, probably if you say RC Jim's Place to someone, 99% of people don't remember that. There's like it was like holy crap, I remember that form. Like that was the place to hang out. You know what I mean? So it sucks because, like I said, Facebook, it's a necessary evil nowadays. You have to. I think even for like the small vendor guys, like they got to do it because it's basically free advertisement. But if I could have it my way, it would be the forums. If you can get everyone somehow back to them and just keep everyone engaged on there, I think that's the best.
Yeah. I like the forums for the tech stuff, but man, I can tell you I haven't been on a forum in a while.
Yeah, it's crappy. It really is.
I just haven't. Like, I don't have that kind of time in my life at the moment. And Facebook is bam, bam, bam. I get some pictures of people doing cool stuff. All the time I spend on forums. I mean, countless hours. I can't even tell you. Build threads, reading them from beginning to end. All that knowledge is all up here. But I can't even imagine if I started out and I didn't know that existed and didn't do all of that. Like at this point, I wouldn't have half of the know how to do the things that I can do. So it's interesting.
I mean, this whole segment of this hobby is because of RC Crawler. Like there was a thread years ago and it was like, who started RC rock crawling? And I remember a couple guys had posted up. There used to be this guy, I think his name was Mudcow or something like that. And he had like very early on in the YouTube days, like he had, I think it was a clodbuster, like crawling like a rock garden, like in front of his house. And guys like, oh, Mudcow started it. No, Jason Hensel and John, when RCC formed, that's once it was organized, those guys started RC Crawler. That they started this and it took off. you know, from there. And then like guys can disagree with me, but like the scale crawling side of it, that was for me, that was Dean. Once I saw Dean's video of the original true scale crawler, that's where like I was like, holy crap! Like I had bruisers, but they were nothing in scale comparison to Dean's truck. So once that happened, like my Chino clone, and then like other clones started popping up, and that stuff started happening. That's where it started. You know what I mean? That's why we have everything we have now is because of that page, that form.
No, I get it. I don't discredit forums in any stretch of the imagination. I think they're amazing. It's a shame because they're very inactive at the moment, unfortunately. So I think SBG is living a little more strong in the moment than RCC, but it is what it is.
Yeah. It is. Yep.
So you brought up Mike's RC World. Let's talk a little bit about what is Mike's RC World. What's going on there?
So I started Mike's RC World for a couple of reasons. At the time, you know, with like Instagram, social media, you know, I wanted to separate my personal life from the RC stuff. And with my job and stuff, I kind of have to be careful, especially now with the unit that I'm in, what I, you know, post on social media and things like that. So I wanted to separate it, you know?
Yeah.
And secondly, the other big thing and it's, people are probably gonna laugh or think I'm crazy for this, but you know, life's short. And if I were to get hit by a bus tomorrow, I just kind of want to be remembered for having a lot of really cool RC trucks. So that was my way to, you know, kind of pimp myself out there, like the collection and the trucks and my builds and stuff. And just to kind of build upon, you know, me and like the collection and the trucks and my work and, you know, that stuff. So that's where it was. And as far as the name goes, I don't remember who it was, but someone had came over and we were talking, you know, tiny trucks and stuff. And they were like, dude, it's like your own like world down here. Like you have a world of trucks. And that kind of like, that just kind of stuck with it. I was like, well, Mike's RC World. There you go. Nice and simple. You know what I mean? And it's just, growing a little bit at a time from there. So it's cool. It's fun, you know? And like I said, it keeps things separated from the personal life and like just personal toy trucks.
Gotcha. Yeah. I kind of did that too. Like I didn't have a lot of people in my personal things. So I kind of just like, it's just all toy trucks. Like there is no real personal page for me. It just is toy trucks. I don't have a lot of people in the personal realm or any of that. And so I try to keep things positive and supportive and very PG rated because I mean, I do my best to keep it in that realm. But anyway, I know that you've begun, especially after we talked the other night a little bit about you've begun stepping a little more into the YouTube arena, and so what is your motivation of kind of going there a little bit and what's going on there? Like I'm kind of feeling the same drive to kind of go there a little bit. Like what's your motivation behind going there?
Honestly, what it really started with is a couple years back when Tim Meyer passed away and I had the Camaros. I wanted to kind of put together like a tribute thing. And I wanted to do a video with like the orange Camaro doing wheelies and stuff. And I didn't know anything about video stuff. And then I talked to a buddy, you know, like, oh yeah, we'll do that. And then it literally years passed. And then finally this year I was watching like Josh's videos, and Matt's like, you know, Builders Guild videos. And both those guys they're super talented. I mean, I know that's what Matt does for a living, but, aside from doing it for a living or as a profession, they're just entertaining guys. Like they keep you engaged. And I felt like I could probably do that. Like maybe not to their level, but I was like, all right, you know, I want to do that, but I knew nothing about video or editing or anything. So I'm like, I got to try to figure this out. So I synced up with my one buddy who used to do all of our videos for our four-wheeling trips. And he came over and we shot that first video, the introduction to Mike's RC World. And, you know, everyone that watched it, like my inner friend circle group, they thought it was good. And then Josh really hooked me up. I mean, he did like in one of his Scale News updates, he threw me a huge shout out. And the channel went from having like 23 subscribers to like 700 in like a 48-hour period.
Right.
But what was cool is like, yeah, he directed them to it, but people posted on it like, this video was awesome. Like you could feel your enthusiasm. Like, So I was like, that made me feel good. Like, all right, like, yeah, Josh hooked it up. He's got a huge following, but people liked what I had to say. So I'm like, all right, maybe I could keep running with this. And yeah, I'm trying to, learn and go as I go, So it's baby steps really, but I'm kind of having fun with it. It's new to me. It's a learning curve. But I think it's going pretty well so far. And like I said, it's fun. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, no, it's supposed to be fun. And so one of the things that I've found in the hobby is that I have transferred from like all over the place in the hobby. So I've stayed in the realm of scale trucks, but I mean, building stuff, building like technical, like mechanical things, building cages, building like super scale stuff, building whatever it is that I've chosen to build. Like it's all been a new version. And then so recently I've gotten into, so I had like knockoff GoPros basically, and I was doing videos a while ago for local club stuff and tossing them all together. And then just recently I realized that my phone is a nice tool. And so
yeah,
I am
awesome.
so addicted to using my cell phone to shoot video and to take pictures, man. If anybody follows my actual page, I've been posting pictures all week because like I'm so addicted right now. I'm going out like crawling around on the ground taking pictures of stuff. Random stuff.
Yep.
Like I don't even know what I'm doing or why. It's what I'm into at the moment.
It looks cool, right?
It looks good. I like how it looks, so that's what I'm doing. But no, like it's interesting. So my question is, what gear are you using to shoot your current videos? Like we talked a little bit about the one you're talking about, but what else are you using?
So I've had a good amount of help. Josh, gave me some advice. I think every time I post a video, Matt sends me a message like right away, like, "Hey, this was good. This was not so good. Try doing this." And Matt's been a huge help. Matt's a great dude.
Yeah.
Him and Rich, I consider him two very good buddies of mine. But they've been a tremendous help. So when I was at UST last year, I saw that. Wow, it's bad. Drawing a blank on his name off, son. That's terrible.
All good.
Has a really popular YouTube channel. Was at UST last year. He had a gimbal tool. I can't think of his name. Terrible. He's gonna be on your show, but he had the gimbal tool with the stick, and like we went out and we shot a video. Me, him, Matt, and stuff. And when he edited it and did it all, Hemistorm. There it is.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Like he shot it like in a 60, frame rate and like slowed it down. And like the trucks, like you'd see the suspension cycling. So when I was going to UST this year, I was like, impulse buy, and I bought a gimbal.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to go down there. I'm going to learn how to use this thing and see if I could shoot some cool footage. And I shot some cool footage from the event. I mean, it's by no means perfect, but so I got the gimbal. And then when I started trying to do the videos, for like the Mike's RC World, like rig reviews and the YouTube channel, one of the biggest things is, and Chris and Dana do videos. Everyone pointed out that like my audio quality was terrible. So I bought this little baby Shure mic, and that made a huge difference.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't super expensive, and it plugs right into the iPhone. It's an MV88. So I use that, and I have a tripod with the mount for the phone,
Yep.
and that's what I'm working with right now. Like, I mean, if you listen to the guys that do the videos and have like real successful channels, like they all started like with smaller stuff, and they build it up as they go. So I'm kind of taking the same approach,
Yeah.
see where it goes.
I'm kind of with you. I like the gadgets that connect to my phone because I carry my phone with me everywhere, and you already have it. It's right there. I've snagged a lens. I've got a couple of different mics for different applications, and some accessories to kind of hold my phone, stabilize it, do all that stuff. But I think the gimbal is on the list. It made more sense to buy the other pieces in the moment of where I was at because I knew I needed the mic for the audio. So
no, that makes sense. Sense.
So, all right, I am at. What is your best piece of advice for a scale newbie, someone brand new to the hobby, just starting out? Like, what do you tell them?
Do your research, like read, and again, like just reach out to guys that are like the bigger names in it. I mean, there's tons of guys. I mean, they could probably pick just about anyone off your show so far and get great advice from people. I give advice to people all the time. I get a lot of PMs now through the Mike's RC World on Facebook and stuff, and even on RCC and Scale Builders Guild. You know, I wish people would post it in public because I feel like people probably have the same questions. But
Right.
I mean, just reach out to people and ask. You know, I mean, and just do a little bit of research. There's tons out there. You know, you get onto any of the good forums, and chances are, you know, you use the search button, you're gonna find what you need. But if you can't, just, you know, hit someone up. Most people are gonna, you know, be inclined to help you. You know, we want to see. We're all newbies at one point. You know what I mean? I look at stuff that I built, you know, back in '05 to now, and it's a night and day difference. You know, so everyone starts somewhere. You know.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I like that you said to reach out to people because that was honestly the premise for why I'm doing this. The whole have people on, interview them, let them share their story was to make all of these people in our community a little more approachable. You know, when I started going to bigger events and I started seeing some of these guys that I'd seen all over the internet, I was like, man, like, this is this person, this is that person. Well, like, I was a little apprehensive to go up and talk to them. Like one of the first events I went to where Chris and Dana were at, I was like super apprehensive to go up and talk to them.
Those guys are probably the easiest dudes to talk to.
Oh my gosh, they're amazing. Like,
yeah.
The GCM guys are like right up there on the list. Like, you can walk right up. You don't even they don't have to know you at all. Like, they'll welcome you in.
Good
talk
dudes.
to you forever.
Real good dudes.
Super cool guys. And I just decided, like, I want to share that. Like, I want everybody to be approachable so that you can come to these people and get some help and some advice.
Yep.
So,
definitely.
I definitely appreciate you being on and all the other people who've been on and are coming on the show because that's my goal.
You've had a great lineup so far, and the guys that are coming on are all really good too. I mean, everyone I've talked to about this, especially like a lot of the OG guys, everyone's like, dude, that show is awesome. Like we love watching it. So you got to just keep rolling with it for as long as you can.
Yeah,
people definitely love it. You know?
I mean, I don't see an end at the moment. I'm trying to do one a week. I might take a week or two off here or there over the summer or something. I got a couple cool things lined up for the summer that I'm pretty excited about. Maybe like a live on location at a couple of places. So that'd be interesting. But
that'd be cool.
I can't wait for that. So let's talk. Ooh, my thing moved. Let's talk a little bit about some of your like influences in the hobby, and if you were going to pick someone to be on the show, who would you pick?
That's a tough one. I mean, I take my influences from a lot of people, GCM guys, you know, Matt, Rich. There's tons of people. Probably one of my biggest influence though is probably Dean, Chino 63. Dean's awesome. Dean's just an amazing fabricator and builder all around. So I would say Dean. Dean's not super big into social media. I mean, I'm sure if you asked him, he'd probably do it. But I feel like someone that would also probably be a good candidate, and I think his name's come up before. And I don't even know if he realizes that I, you know, have the respect that I do for him. Is probably Warpig, Tim Samuels.
Yeah.
Tim. What I like about Tim is super well-rounded. Tim could do chassis work. He's currently scratch building like a really badass build on RCC right now for an event. I mean, and the guy can drive. So if you want someone that's very well-rounded, that's done a little bit of everything in this hobby, I think Tim would be a great choice, or Dean. Definitely, those would be my top two picks without a doubt.
Absolutely, man. And so it's interesting that you say Tim. Like, the last show when I talked to Lee, like Lee was talking about Tim. I've talked to Tim. Tim and I talked, oh man, like, I don't know. It was probably like 2 months ago about him coming on, and then we kind of just fizzled our conversation and we never ended it. And it's not that I don't think he wants to be on, or it's not that I don't want to have him on. I don't know. We just got busy and never picked it back up. So I think it's time.
Just gotta get the timing.
Yeah, it's time to revisit that, and I think that he'll be a little more available here after next weekend, after he goes to nationals and does all that stuff. So I'll be hitting him up in the future for sure. He's definitely on my list, and he's getting a message. So if you're watching this, Tim, expect your message to come. So I think this is probably the hardest question that I ask most people out there. It is, what is your favorite build that isn't yours, like that's not in your, like you don't own it, it's not yours, you can't like hold it in your hands. What's your favorite one out there?
All right, so I'm not gonna lie, I totally prepped for this question.
I don't blame you.
It's actually a super simple answer for me. Again, starting where I started in the hobby, being a kid, reading RC car action magazines, my all-time favorite build, and I busted out my RC car action magazine here. From August 1991. Okay, so I was like 6.
Nice.
And it would be, and it even made the cover, it would be this Clodbuster here. And this truck here, to me, this is what started for me. I didn't get this magazine until years later after it came out, when I was probably like about 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah.
Like right around the time my mom started, dating my stepdad. And one of the guys he worked with, he was in the RC, and he gave my stepfather like 3 or 4 milk crates full of old RC car action magazines. And I was just like combing through these things for hours and hours and hours. And I stumbled upon that truck, this Clodbuster. And if you look at like my collection and like my Clod builds, they're all very like old school, fitting to that truck. Is like, that's been the truck that's inspired me all these years. And what's really cool is the guy's from Long Island.
Yeah.
And I tracked him down. Facebook. So you talk about necessary evils, and what was cool is he still has the truck. Naturally, I tried to buy it. It is not for sale. He will never sell it, and he has another really awesome build. I don't have a picture of it, but it's a cloud body with a custom rollback tow truck bed. I mean, this guy was building stuff way ahead of his time. But what's also cool about this truck is that the guy that did the paint work on it, it's like very old school with like pinstriping and the pink and green graphics. That guy is also still around. John Rico, he owns Max Customs, and I reached out to him, and he just did the artwork on my one monster truck that I'm building. So that was really cool. And like I went out to his shop, and he's an old school. He was doing like the quarter scale legend cars back then. He was doing all the paint for them when they were on the island, the quarter scale company. So that if I could own any RC, is that one. I would literally sell probably half my collection. I would remortgage my house to buy that damn truck. If he was willing to sell it, there's no like whatever. If he told me it was like I want $7,500 for this Cloudbuster, I'd be like, I'm gonna know what time, but I'm coming to buy it. So that is the truck, and to me, that's what's inspired all of this. I mean, obviously there's a lot of other things, but that particular truck to this date, that's what sticks in my mind. And like that truck had opening doors, it had an interior, tilt bed, tilt hood, scout engine. Like, so that's where I'm at now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that truck.
So I will completely certify you addicted to RC. And you totally get like a badge and like a hat. I don't know. We'll find something for you, but you're definitely addicted, and it's amazing. I love every minute of it. Where do you see the crawling community in general, the scale community, the crawling community? Where do you see it headed in the coming years?
It's definitely gonna only get bigger. I think there's gonna be a lot more options. I think the 3D printing stuff is growing in leaps and bounds, and I think what's gonna be cool about that is it's gonna split things up a little bit. Like you're not gonna show up to an event and there's gonna be Hilux builds. Now you're gonna show up to the event and there's gonna be like a 5th gen 4Runner. The MFAB just did the FJ55 pig body. Like there's a ton of really awesome 3D printed bodies available now. They have the Bronco MFAB did. I mean, and the licensing's coming back. RC Full Drive continues to push the envelope, further and further with, getting licensed stuff like the K5 body.
Yep.
So there's going to be, it's only going to get bigger in my opinion. So.
Yeah. All right. Do you currently have any sponsors, and why have you chosen to represent those companies?
Yeah, I got a couple. My number one sponsors is probably RC4 Drive, and I've been officially sponsored by them. I'm probably one of their longest drivers. It's probably 10 years now, I think. But realistically, I've been with RC Four-Wheel Drive testing stuff for them since they started. I mean, it's like burned in the back of my head, like vividly, when Hewitt joined up onto RCMT, and he came into the Bruiser Forum. I was like, "Hey guys, like I bought a Mountaineer, and truck was really nice." He's like, "And I want cool parts this now. Like, where can I get like aluminum wheels and shocks?" And we're like, this is going back like 2001. We're like, dude, first off, the truck's been discontinued for like 20 years, and there's no support. Like a couple of like, just average Joes. Mark Thompson was doing aluminum wheels. There's a guy, I think his name is Andy, he went by Space Mutant. He did like upgraded steering links, but so he went to the first thing that RC Four Drive did was he was based in California, so he went to JPS. He got JPS back up and running, and they started doing stuff, and it just grew from there. So RC Four Drive, I've been with them from the start. Tom and John, great dudes. They're really pushing the company in the right direction now. And then new for this year is GCM. Chris and Dana asked me to be part of their tiny trucker group, and that was very humbling. Like I said, I like those guys a lot. They're great dudes. They make awesome products. They continue to push the envelope, and they like dollhouse trucks. So, so those are my two, main, sponsors. And then I definitely got to shout out Bauhaus. David Krieger, he takes care of me, definitely without a doubt. And then over the years, I've had other little things, maybe not necessarily official, but when Ben Unamager was around, I was a MSD driver, and Kevin from the Crawler store, Kevin used to take care of me very well. So like unofficially, some of those things, and some of them have phased out over the years, but as of right now, officially RC Four-Wheel Drive and GCM.
All right. Yeah, man. So what should we expect to see next from you?
More Toyotas. I'm just gonna keep going, like just building upon what I'm doing. I wish I had more free time. I think back to when I started, like on RCC, and I had all the time, but didn't necessarily have all the money, the funds and stuff, because I was working at the dealership at the time. But I used to crank out builds, going back then. But I was a kid back then, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So now it's like adulting and growing up things in the house and all that stuff. But I want to continue to grow the Mike's RC World thing, and just I'd want to try to get to more and more events, if I can. But like I said, the USTs, that's my must do. And then Dean, Dean's a good buddy of mine, and Dean hooks me up. I flew out there last year, and did Axial Festival. I camped with him and everything, and he invited me back out again this year. So if I could do those two events each year, that would be awesome. You know what I mean? At the least, you know what I mean? But I would like to try. I hear great things about Kirby's event, the Top Trick Challenge, and I would like to get back to even like the RC Four-Wheel Drive East Coast. I know the past 2 years of that's been really good. It's just hard, with my time off and stuff, and I kind of got to pick and choose what I do, and I try to pick and choose where, like, I want to be able to see my friends too, like, because for me, I want to go where, like, I know my friends are going, so that I these are the guys that I only get to see, once a year, if that. So I try to pick it based off that too, So Axial Fest is great because I get to see Josh. I get to see, I go out there and John Badger, he busts my balls relentlessly. But, so I miss all that, so because those guys, the RCC guys, especially I owe a huge shout out to John and Jason, because even going back to like Moab in 07, when I went out there, I wasn't even old enough I was 20 years old. Couldn't even rent the car, and Jason's like, "Hey, you want to come out the Nationals?" And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah, I'll pick you up and you crash at my house." And so a huge shout out to those guys, and even Rob and Corey, and the USTE guys. Rob's been very accommodating with me. I flew out a day early this past year, and meeting dinner at his house and drinking rum and coke with him. These are all great dudes. So I definitely just keep going forward. That's it, man. Forward.
All right, so this is your time, man. Is there anything I missed? Anything you want to shout out? Anything you want to say here before we sign off and kind of head out, and then I can go back through and answer. There like got to be a couple hundred comments I got to look at here.
Oh yeah. Well, there's one that we accidentally skipped over, and I think I kind of got to touch on it just for my OG guys.
Oh yeah.
And it was, you've been around the forums for a long time. What is your name at RCC, and why did you choose it? So when I saw that one, I kind of laughed. So my name on there is One Bad G Bruiser, and initially I picked that because when I first went on to RCC, before I actually joined it, I went on probably like late 04, early 05. And I was coming from RCMT and like Clot Talk, and I go on there and I'm like, oh my God, these guys are freaking crazy. Like, they're going to slaughter me. You know what I mean? I'm like, I can't post on here. But I was like, well, I do have a couple cool bruisers. And at the time, like, they were discontinued. So it was like, oh, maybe they'll think those are cool. So I made the name One Bad Jeepers. I had this Tamiya Wrangler body on a custom cut down bruiser chassis. So that's how that name formed. But the reason why I wanted to come back to this one is because I've actually had several other names on RCC. The first one being is One Bad Boy Band. And quick little story about that is when Jason invited me out to Nationals in 07, you know, I only knew Jason from the forums. I never met the guy before in my entire life. And, you know, obviously he was very accommodating, and we're driving from Colorado to Moab. And we had no tunes in like the rental truck or whatever. And he's like, I'm like, I've got my iPad, you know, and I'm not embarrassing it, but like I had Blink 182 on there. I still have Blink 182, but you know, I probably had Rufio, like a bunch of emo core bands on there. And he plugs it in, like, he's like, what the hell is this shit? He's like, well, you listen to some boy band music? So needless to say, by the time we got to the RCC condo, my name on the forums was then One Bad Boy Band for months. So that was really funny. And then the next time I was at an event was for in 08 for Montana, the Scale Nationals out there, hosted by Ben Unemager. And I think I was with Ben, or I don't even know who it was with, but we stopped at a gas station and on the way to the comp site. And I walk in and they have Jones Soda. And I'm like, oh man, Jones Soda. I'm like, and I had Foo Berry, which is like one of my favorites. Despite the name, that soda is awesome. So I'm like, oh man, I got Foo Berry. So Ben was like, dude, are you serious right now? So I buy like as many as I can like hold. And we get to the comp site and everyone's like, what the hell are you drinking? I'm like, oh dude, it's Jones Soda, it's Foo Berry. Well, by the time I got home from Montana, my name was now changed to One Bad Foo Berry. And the funniest part is like I'm posting now, and obviously that's the name that's showing up. And people are like, I'm getting PMs like, oh dude, you should totally see this guy One Bad Jeepers trucks. You would love them. And I'm like, I am One Bad Jeepers. Or like, I'm just using a different name. So yeah, I had to touch on that just because that takes it back to back then. So
yeah, absolutely. But, I'm sorry I missed that one. Probably during technical difficulty times and all of that fun stuff. So
Yep.
Oh man, I did all good. That was the first cough, I think. So I was rocking it. But anyway, Mike, thank you for being on. I totally appreciate it, man. Your collection is outstanding. Your knowledge of what's going on is tremendous. You've been around a long time. You know all of these people. Like it's awesome, and it was a good talk, man. Yeah, thanks. I don't know what else to say. Thanks.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure being on here, man. I'm glad they asked me. I mean, I feel like I had a lot of big footsteps to follow, and you know, a lot of really great dudes and excellent builders and guys that are big names in the industry before me. Like I said, I'm just like a little guy in the totem pole. I'm trying to get myself back up there, but I was happy to be on here, and you know, I hope I didn't ramble too much. But when you're in it for the song and the history and everything, I could tend to just keep talking. But yeah, I mean, I hope everyone else enjoyed it, and I thank everyone. I see there's still 32 people watching, so I'm sure it's probably pretty late this one because I freaking clear off my phone. But yeah, thanks. thanks, man.
Oh no,
It was a good time.
yeah, we're freezing up real good with all the likes and all the stuff. So I'm pretty sure that's how it's gonna kind of end up for us here. So I'm gonna let you go.
All right.
I'll be talking to you in the future, man.
Definitely
And so I'll close you out. I'll end the show, and we'll get carrying on with that. So have a good night.
Sounds good, man. Rock on.
Yep. Check out Instagram, vanort_customs, and check out my website, vanortcustoms.com. Mike posted some killer pictures of my backdrop with his lift. I'm probably going to repost those and do that that thing on my Facebook page, but it looks amazing with the lift and the killer scale trucks, so I appreciate those pictures as well. Coming up in the future here, I have next week I have Eddie Goodrich, who is the brains behind Team Brood Racing. Lots of knowledge about motors and other electrical goodness. In between that, I have a mystery guest that I just locked down. I cannot wait to share this one with you. I'm honestly not. I'm honestly not 100% sure of the scope of how well known this person is, and I just learned about them, and their stuff is outstanding, like outstanding. So I cannot wait to share. So look for that to pop up and go from there. And then after that, I have John Robert Holmes lined up. So from Holmes Hobbies, that's going to be a good one. He's another brilliant gentleman with electronics and wiring and all of that, like the stuff that I don't understand, and I just use these guys' stuff because they put all the time and effort into. Additionally, thank you guys all for tuning in, for rewatching, for all of that stuff. I thank the 15 of you who are staying on till the end here. I genuinely appreciate it. I see comments. I will go back through and answer them. But other than that, I thank you all for tuning in. Otherwise, it would be a pretty boring show with just me, you know, talking to a camera, and no one wants to see that. So I will catch you guys all next Thursday when I talk to Eddie, and see you then.